Hi, everyone, and welcome back to another Tea with Mel series today. My name is Melissa, and I'm the founder of Endo Empowered, and we run these Tea with Mel series every week to give you a little bit more insight about endometriosis and how to treat it naturally. So, today's tea is something called powder arco. Now, it's actually a stem of a tree, and powder arco is, I'll just put this up for you so you can see, kind of, I don't know if you can see that. Powder arco is really a very lovely tasting tea. It's slightly sweet, which is probably why I like it so much. But powder arco is really good for treating kind of gut imbalances, particularly if you have overactive candida going on. So really lovely treatment for that. Would probably recommend having that with other things. So not just the powder arco tea, but a combination of treatments to treat candida overgrowth. That is another topic for another day. But welcome. Anyone here with me live today, feel free to share your comments in the chat if you have questions. If you are joining us later in the day or you're watching this on replay, feel free to email me at support@endoempowered.com with any lives that you would like, any questions you might have. I cannot offer personalized email advice. I just want to put that out there because I did receive quite a few emails this week. Just can't cope with that level of, those many emails, and personalizing over email is very, very challenging, without having a full history of what's going on for you and not liking to advise things just over email. So if you do have personalized questions, you can always book in a consult with me and I can tailor a specific plan specifically for you. For those who don't know, I am now a qualified naturopath, so I can give you a full plan, look at your full history, analyze everything that's going on, and then complete a plan that's based specifically on your situation and what your body needs. Right, today we are talking all about supplements. So supplements is something I do get asked a lot about, and I want to put a few caveats up before I share anything about supplements. First is, supplements do not solve endometriosis. I know that's not what you want to hear. You want to hear, I can just take a pill and it'll all go away. Unfortunately, that's just not going to happen. And I need to stress that supplements supplement what you are already doing. So if you are eating a balanced diet, if you are lowering stress, if you're moving your body, you have cleansed out whatever imbalances are going on, then supplements can supplement that journey. So you may be deficient in something and then you can supplement and support the body through that. Your liver might need a boost, in which case you might supplement during that time until the liver is better supported. It's really designed to be a short-term plan. And when this is happening, it's really just to get the body back in alignment so that it can then support itself going forward. This is not about taking something for the rest of your life. It is not about something you take long term. It's really about going, okay, my body needs this right now, so I'm going to support it through this period and then moving on. So I need to stress that. This idea that you can take a supplement and that's going to solve everything, I get it. I've been there. I tried them all. I really did. I literally fell for believing that, all the marketing around different supplements. And that's really what it comes down to. There's a lot of heavy push by various companies that you need to buy something because there's a money aspect to that. There's not as much money in selling fruit and veg. So, my thing has always come back to, what are you eating? How are you supporting your body nutritionally? So the second caveat I really want to stress is these supplements that I'm going to recommend today, I've specifically chosen them because I wanted to be on the safe side. So I don't want to be recommending things that are too narrow in terms of, they may not suit everybody. So I've really tried my best to pick things that I feel would support most women with endometriosis. In saying that, I don't want to be held responsible if something doesn't agree with you. So, just take it with a heat of caution if you are on anything. So if you're taking hormone treatments, if you're taking antidepressants, if you're taking any kind of blood thinners, anything like that, just make sure that you check with your doctor first. There are contraindications with some herbs and some supplements. So just be mindful that, I'm assuming you are not taking anything else. And, these have been chosen to be quite safe around most things. But I will mention some things where I know there are contraindications because I have had this happen. So I just want to make sure that everyone is on board with that. Okay. So any questions so far? Anyone want to mention anything that they're concerned about, or that supplements that they have tried that they're not sure about, or they've had a negative reaction? Feel free to share those in the comments. That tea is lovely. Very nice tea. I like my powder Arco. Okay, so let's get started. The first one I recommend is called Serrapeptase, and you get different combinations. So this one here is actually a Serrapeptase with Nattokinase, and I do recommend this particular company. It's called AST Enzymes, and I've used them myself for periods of time. And my recommendation is to only take it for 6 months and then give it a break for, at least a few months, and then start it up again. What this one does is it really works on fibrin metabolism. So my focus here is really on the adhesions, and so releasing those adhesions and softening those adhesions. So adhesions is a big factor for pain with endometriosis. We did talk about adhesions last week, so if you missed that one, please go back and watch that one. Adhesions are kind of the tight they're almost like spider webs in the body that are in an attempt to heal. And if you've had surgeries, it's very likely that you have these adhesions. Now, when they become stiff and hard, they force the organs inside the abdomen not to be able to move very well. And so we want to soften those so that there's more movement and there's therefore less pain. So Serrapeptase is something I've used for a long time with my patients, with my followers, and the results have been incredible. Women who had severe adhesions were able to allow those to slowly disintegrate with other treatments, which I did share last week. So go and watch that if you have got adhesions and there's a lot of tightness in the abdomen. But this one is something I highly, highly recommend. Serrapeptase is the enzyme that silkworms use to break open from their cocoon. So it's actually designed to break down that fibrin. So really, really powerful, and very, very good to use in combination. And I do like this combination with the Nattokinase together. The tricky part with this is that you do need to take it on an empty stomach. And that is something that a lot of women get wrong. And then they say to me, oh, but Mel, I'm having more pain. I'm having more digestive issues. It's very important that you follow these instructions. It's got it on the top. It's got it in the instructions on the side. It's very important. These are enteric coated, which means that they need to go all the way down into the digestive system to be absorbed. And so we really want to make sure that we take these on an empty stomach. My recommendation is to take them first thing in the morning, but like literally as you get up, and then wait at least an hour before you eat. So that is the downside with this, and it's important that you follow that. Some women really struggle with that. So yeah, that may be something that you struggle with, and depending on your schedule. But yeah, that is something I need to mention. So yeah, very, very good for reducing inflammation, which if you guys have not seen, there is a brand new program out. It's so awesome. It's our brand new introductory course. It's completely free. If you guys want to have access to that, I will pop the link in the comments here for you, and then you guys can have a look at that. It is designed to give you the insights of what endometriosis is all about, get a deeper understanding of what's happening with endometriosis. So the 3 key pillars of what we look at with endometriosis, there's lots of insights there that you can really get a deeper understanding of what endometriosis is. One of those key ones is inflammation. And I just explain what inflammation is within this introductory course. So if you don't really understand what that is, then you can check that out. But of course, this one helps reduce inflammation. So anything that helps reduce inflammation is going to be your friend. Okay. Any questions? Anyone wish to share where they're at or anything? Feel free to use the comments at any time. This is the spot to get that new course. So free introductory course for you guys. Really fun, very interactive. So you click on things and things happen. It's really fun. And it's taken us quite a while to develop that. So yeah, would love it if you guys check that out and let me know what you think. And yeah, anything. I'd love to hear from you. Okay. The next one I want to share is called Crampbark, which is very aptly named Crampbark because Crampbark reduces cramps. It is also an anti-inflammatory, so that is a key focus when you're treating endo. And I'll just have a quick look. 78 in one of my herbal books. I'll just share with you what it says about Crampbark. So it has got bitter tendencies, which is always good for the digestive system, stimulate the digestive system. It helps with things like irritable bowel. So often there is an overlap between endometriosis and bowel issues. They tend to go hand in hand. And I recognize that a lot of women with endometriosis have bowel issues. They're not separate. They come together. There's an overlap there. Definitely when the bowel is out of balance, you will have more endometriosis symptoms. You will have more endometriosis growth. So getting your bowel sorted and getting that digestive system working well is really important. Crampbark works on both. So it helps reduce that cramping, that bloating. So we have painful periods. You have irritable bowel, we have any kind of urinary spasms. It's basically a mild sedative. So if you're stressed or anxious, it's really good for that. It helps reduce migraines. So overall, this is a really wonderful herb. Now, you can get this in a tincture, which is what I'd recommend. Tincture means they take the herb and they put it into alcohol, and then all the good stuff that's inside of that herb gets seeped into the alcohol, and you literally just take a couple of drops of that. So it's not a lot, but the potency is very high, but hugely the absorption rate is much higher in a tincture than it would be in a tablet form. So I do prefer tinctures if you can do it. Some women just can't do tinctures. This just too much for them. Maybe they don't like the taste. Maybe they don't like the alcohol, so I get it. Some women just don't want to do tinctures, in which case you can get it as a tablet form. when you're buying supplements, there's a few things I need to stress here. Make sure you're getting a good quality brand. You know, price is an indicator of how good a brand that is. I know we're always conscious of price, but most of the time when you're buying cheap stuff, it's filled with cheap ingredients. So just be mindful that you get what you pay for. And if something is really cheap, it's probably going to have a whole lot of fillers in it, which is, maybe rice flour or other things that aren't really supportive of health. So be mindful of what you're buying. Really be careful with which brands you choose. You really want to get good quality brands. If you're unsure about which brands to buy, it's better to work with a naturopath who also has access to practitioner-only brands. So for me, I now have access to practitioner-only brands, which are much more accredited. They're much more tested, and we can vouch for the quality of those brands. When you start buying things on, these mass-produced things, there's no guarantee that there's actually the right level of the nutritional benefit that you're trying to get. So if you're taking a herbal supplement, we don't know how much of that herbal supplement is in each capsule. It's not measured. We don't know the how good that is, how old it is, when it was picked. There's just so many variables to actually look at when it comes to supplements. So you want to make sure that you're using a good quality brand. With the Crampbark, having a tincture is a much safer way to go, because when it's a tincture, all they can do is take the herb, put it in alcohol, and that's what you're getting. So there's no other ingredients in there, and you can easily check that on the ingredients list when you go and try and purchase that. So that is something, that saves you from having to worry about the brand so much, and also what other ingredients are in there. So yeah, make sure that you do check the brand that you're buying. Okay, any questions so far? Anyone wish to share any thoughts or any concerns that they may have? Feel free to use the comments. Right. The next one is curcumin. So curcumin is something that I have mentioned before in our Tea with Mel series. Curcumin is the key constituent inside of turmeric. Now, turmeric is, I hope you guys know, a spice, and very, very orangey taste. No, not taste, orangey color. Not a huge fan of curcumin myself as turmeric as a spice. I found the taste very strong. The problem with turmeric is it doesn't absorb very easily into the body, so it's not easily absorbed in. So you do need to, if you're going to have turmeric as a drink, which has become trendy, make sure you're having it with pepper. That helps with the absorbability. But to be honest, you're not going to get enough of that constituent of curcumin by drinking it as a latte or whatever the case is, so that's why we want to supplement with that one. Now, the cool thing, I'll just read you some really cool stuff about curcumin. Curcumin actually inhibits the endometrial cell migration. So super awesome stuff. So this means basically it inhibits the endometriosis from growing. Who doesn't want that? I mean, it's so cool. So it's really a powerful supplement to use, very powerful to help support you with having endometriosis, lowering inflammation, lowering that growth of those lesions. Really, really powerful. It also downregulates some of the immune responses that actually attribute to that heightened inflammation. So therefore, it will naturally lower pain in the body. And it also promotes something called apoptosis. Apoptosis basically means cell death, which in this scenario, we want some cells to die, those endometrial cells. So curcumin helps do that. So basically what I want you to think about is curcumin gets rid of those endometriosis cells. So it actually is like wiping the slate clean. No surgery required. Okay, so we want to have that in our strategy, in our plan, and yeah, really, really powerful. It also helps reduce estradiol, which is the hormone imbalance that is frequently associated with endometriosis. So a lot of time you have elevated estradiol or estrogen as a group of hormones, and you have lowered progesterone. And because of that imbalance, there tends to be a proliferation of those cells. So there's a whole lot of things going on here. So I don't want you to focus solely on hormones. It's not just a hormone condition. But there is this tendency towards this imbalance. That tendency actually relates back to heightened inflammation, but it's a symptom. It's not the trigger, okay? But because of that imbalance, these proliferation of those endometrial cells. So we want to lower those estrogens and we want to increase the progesterones, and we want to have it in a nice even keel, okay? Now, curcumin will help lower some of those estrogens. There's lots of other things you can do to help lower those estrogens, but curcumin is one that will help lower that, which is fantastic. So curcumin, highly, highly recommend. It also helps with estrogen clearance, basically getting rid of excess estrogens through the liver. So we want that as well. Now, there's so many cool studies on this, and I can pop these in the comments if you guys, it's not in the comments, it'll take me too long, but I can pop them down below for you guys if you wish to see those. My recommendation with curcumin is 500 milligrams per day. I'll just pop this up here. You ideally want to have 2 caps 2 times per day. Okay, so there are lots of different brands of curcumin. You want to make sure you get a good quality one, as I mentioned. The one that we use here is called Curcumin Pure, but yeah, depending on where you are is what's available to you. So do just let me know if you would like some guidance on that, and I can always send you a link of that. Right. Any questions so far? We have covered Serrapeptase, Crampbark, and Curcumin, and we have 3 more to go. So if anyone has any questions so far, now's your chance. No questions? Okay. The next one I want to share with you is something that you really want to be mindful of where you're at in your journey. And one of the things that really I like to look at with endometriosis is liver health. So the liver is a big component of our treatment plan, because the liver is responsible for clearance of toxins, clearance of the estrogen dominance. You know, there's lots of factors that come into play, and the liver plays a big part of that. It also relates a lot to how your body regulates the glucose levels. So there's a lot of things as to why we want to look at the liver. And I always include liver protocols within any treatment plan, because the liver is such a key component. One of the ways we can support the liver is, there's lots of different ways, but one of them is something called NAC. So this is a practitioner level brand Don't know how good the lighting is on that, but NAC is something that really supports the liver function. So it's one of the components. So if you picture a wheel with different cogs, the liver is running along. It needs lots of different cogs to make it function. And a lot of those cogs relate back to what you're eating and what your nutritional level is. So if you're not getting the nutrients you need, then your liver is also going to struggle. But NAC is one of the cogs that helps things run. Now, there are some really cool studies about NAC. So I'll just read you some cool stuff about it. It helps promote natural levels of certain immune regulators. So with endometriosis, what's actually happening is the immune system is just out of balance. There's too much activity on one side and not enough activity on another side. It's the simplest way I can explain it. There's lots of different things that happen in the immune system, but there's just overactivity in some areas and just not enough activity in other areas. And NAC helps get that kind of balance back, and that helps reduce inflammation, which, as we've mentioned, is a key component here. It also decreases the abnormal cell proliferation. So, as you know, endometriosis is too many cells in the wrong place and they proliferate. So NAC helps lower that and decreases the invasive behavior of the endometriosis cells, so the spreading basically, and it helps regulate that inflammatory response, so just bringing that down. And there's some really cool studies on it. So the first thing is it helps reduce cysts. A lot of women experience cysts with endometriosis, so could be endometriomas, could be the actual cysts on the ovaries that are just it's all just out of balance. There's too many, they're in the wrong place, they're forming. So it reduces the cyst size. Once again, no need for surgery. There's a really cool study that showed that 24 patients canceled their laparoscopies due to cysts because they'd completely reduced the cyst or disappeared, and the relevant pain that was associated with that. So woohoo! No need for surgery once again. So basically you take these 600 micrograms 3 times per day for 3 consecutive days per week, and you take it for 3 months. I will pop that on here so you guys, per day, 3 consecutive days, day of the week, and for 3 months. Okay, so that is what you want to be doing. If you need to get access to a practitioner brand, you'll need to see a naturopath. So you can book in with me if you wish, or ask your naturopath, but really good to get a practitioner level brand of that one. Okay. Any other questions on NAC? Anything else you guys want to know? Really love NAC as a treatment. Some women have found that it can actually create some, what is kind of the detox symptoms. So you may get headaches, you may get some indications where basically the liver is getting rid of stuff, and so you can have kind of what is called a dieback response. So it's just a case of just lowering the dosage for that period of time until the body adjusts. So just really being mindful that you're working on the liver, and if there's a high toxicity in the liver, then you need to just lower that so that the liver can process what it needs to process on a slower method. This will really support your body in the liver. It is also important that your digestive system is working well. So this is where we do come back to the diet and making sure that there's enough fiber in the diet so you're able to flush out those toxins. If you're constipated, if you have diarrhea, if you're not going to the toilet every day and you feel completely empty, then that needs to be looked at, because anything that's still in the body will get reabsorbed into the body, not in a literal sense, but a lot of the toxins actually can get reabsorbed into the body. A lot of the hormones, so if your your liver has done all this work to get rid of excess estrogen, if your digestive system's not working well, that estrogen simply gets reabsorbed back into the bloodstream and the estrogen dominance doesn't go away. So though I'm a big fan of supporting the liver, it is something that you like to do in combination with a healthy diet, with exercise, with lowering stress, with cleansing the digestive system. So this is why I don't really like recommending supplements, because there's lots of components to consider. But hopefully these are fairly safe and hopefully they do support you, and, I can guide you a little bit further if you need it on a personal basis. Right. Any other questions anyone would like to ask me? Now is your chance. I'm going to have some more of my powder Arco tea. If you missed it, powder Arco. Don't know if you can see that at all. Powder Arco is very good for combating candida overgrowth. Not on its own, but it's very yummy tea. Any other questions? Feel free to use the chat box. Okay. Right. The next supplement that I am going to recommend is something called algae oil. And this is a brand that you can get online. It's called Clinicians. I don't know if you can see that. The lighting's not great for these things, but the reason I recommend algae oil versus fish oil is I just don't like the taste of fish oil. If you're vegan, it's also kind of helpful to have algae oil. Just easier, I think, also to purify against having mercury or toxins in the, with fish oils, because fish generally will absorb a lot more mercury and sort of those toxins. So really, this is an anti-inflammatory. If you struggle with focus and anything to do with ability to concentrate, if you have a tendency to feel overwhelmed, this is really helpful. I personally do struggle with that at times, so I find this really, really helpful to just help the brain function. So your brain is largely fat, and so it really loves fats to help function. So this is where having a diet that is too low in fat can actually be really harmful to the brain function. So algae oil, this is omega-3. I prefer an omega-3 focus rather than omega-3 and 6. Omega-6 is generally quite high in most people's diet. If you eat, most foods are going to be more omega-6 levels, so hence why we tend to focus more on omega-3s. Just a really nice, easy way to take that, and will lower inflammation, will support brain function. Really good to take this just before your monthly. So if you suffer with period pain, you want to be focusing on the Crampbark that I mentioned earlier, along with the algae oil. If you struggle, actually curcumin as well. So financially, if you're kind of like, I don't know, there's a lot here, Mel, I don't know what to buy. If you're financially tight, rather buy less but higher quality than all of them. Like, you're better off buying one that's really top range of the supplement than buying 6 of them and they're all the cheapest possible brands that you can find, because all the cheap stuff is going to have fillers. It's going to have other things in them that your liver and your digestive system have to process, which isn't necessarily healthy, isn't not necessarily beneficial for you. So you're better off just buying one and, just getting a really good brand of that. If you're unsure which one to get, I would probably recommend Curcumin as like the top one out of, I haven't shared all of them yet, but that would be the one that I'd recommend to you guys as the top recommendation, because it does so many things. And it's got a much broader focus rather than the specific focus. So yeah, it depends a little bit on your personal situation. So yeah, just like I say, feel free to comment if you have questions. All right. Now, the last one I'm going to recommend is a probiotic. And this is the one that I found really helps. It's called Provitalize. And the thing that people don't realize about probiotics is they all contain different strains of the, gut flora that you're trying to stimulate. And depending on which ones they are, is how they will react in your body. So for some women, this will work brilliantly, but for others, it will not. And so it really depends on what's going on in your personal microflora and what are they doing and what support you need. There are lots of studies on the beneficial properties of these particular ones. So they're really hard to pronounce, but Brevi, Lactus is the two that are really studied with relation to endometriosis. So those are the ones that I really like. What I also like about this is it also happens to have turmeric root extract in it, moringa, which is something I highly recommend, and black pepper to help absorb that curcumin. So that's why I really like this one. And strangely enough, I found this on a Facebook ad, but it's really, really good, and it does really help. So I do recommend a probiotic, particularly if your gut is out of balance. There are lots of different ones to choose from. Once again, if you have got gut imbalances, that is something that you need to correct. And there are lots of different probiotics that can help you achieve that. And sometimes what we do is we give you something really, really powerful just to cleanse out the imbalances initially. And then we might follow it up with something like this, which is much more gentle, and it just sort of supports those gut flora. Your gut flora is something that's very, very easy to create an imbalance with. Taking painkillers will destroy your gut flora. Taking, obviously, antibiotics. So if you have had surgeries, you're going to destroy those gut flora. Being very stressed, unfortunately, does affect those gut flora. And eating things that then what happens is, because you now have this kind of low population of, I guess for better terms, the good guys. So you have a low population of those. That's when you can start getting imbalances in the gut. And one of those imbalances could be something like Candida, which is a fungal overgrowth. When that imbalance happens, this is where sugar cravings can often occur, because your Candida lives quite comfortably in the gut, and it can live there quite comfortably. It's not something we want to eradicate, but it's because there is an imbalance. There's too much of it, and that's when it takes over, and that's where you get a lot of those associated symptoms. So Candida can actually be a factor for pain with endometriosis. There's an amazing study about that connection through the Endometriosis Association of America. They did studies on these things, and they found that Candida actually was a big contributor to pain. So when you lower Candida, you get rid of the pain. Now, because this gut flora is low, then this Candida gets out of balance. So we want to get the gut flora back up. But to do that, it's actually not that easy when you have things like painkillers and stress, and there's a history of antibiotics. And surgeries and things like that, which all play a part in that gut flora being low. What's interesting is when that gut flora is low is also when you develop food sensitivities, when you develop allergies to things, when you have a lot of mind things, so mental things, anxiety goes up, depression can go up, all sorts of actually what we might just consider emotional issues, where they might think, oh, you need to see a psychologist, but actually it largely relates to the microbiome of the gut. And there's lots and lots of really cool studies about this. But they almost say that your microbiome is your second gut, the second brain, because so much of it influences how you feel on a day-to-day basis. So when we've looked at the actual stool analyses of women with endometriosis, typically what we find is that there's just a low population. There's not a lot of variety in there. And then that will have an influence on how you feel mentally, how you cope with overwhelm, how you cope with your hormones. You might think it's a hormone imbalance, but actually it's related more to having a nice balance of those microbiome. So probiotics obviously help with that, but the key thing is your diet, what you're eating, and making sure that you're eating lots of fruits and vegetables that are fresh. Ideally, you want to have stuff that you grow yourself. Organic stuff is expensive, and you want to have stuff that you can literally go out in the garden, pick it and eat it, and you know that it's safe to do that. So that's where having even just a herb garden, something simple, doesn't need to be anything fancy, that you can have kind of grazing like a cow, my husband says, where you can have access to those. There's lots of cool things that you can do in terms of diet that can really support your gut health. Okay guys, so we're almost finished for today. So just to recap, we covered Serrapeptase, which really helps with those adhesions, Crampbark to lower cramps, Curcumin, which is the key constituent of turmeric, NAC, which is just fantastic for reducing cysts and also supporting liver health, algae oil, and a good probiotic. So those are the six the 6 supplements that we covered today. If you guys have any questions on any of these, feel free to pop them in the comments or email us at support@endoempower.com. I cannot offer personalized advice, so I just want to put that out there. We had a few emails this week from women asking for personalized advice. We cannot do that over email. I need to understand your full history for me to advise you. We do have an online program that is coming out in April, so very excited. It's all about food, and we are looking at it as a food adventure. So it's going to be exploring all the foods that really help your body to reduce endometriosis and the associated pain and reducing that inflammation. So literally we've gone around the world and found those amazing foods and put them into a program for you so that you can just speed up the whole process of really getting your endometriosis under control. And that is using food, which is way better way to do it, in my opinion, than supplementing with everything. If you hadn't noticed, I did not include any individualized supplements, so I do not recommend individualized minerals or vitamins within my protocol. There are occasions where I might do this, but I generally only do this when I'm working one-on-one with clients. These are synthetic, so vitamin Bs, your iron, your calcium, your whatever, I don't recommend them because we don't know enough about how they work within the body, what other bits and pieces your body needs to actually process these properly. They are synthetic. They are not from nature. So if you want to get those, or if you need those, there are better sources of them from supplements, but not necessarily in that individualized form. And I much prefer to give you a broader range of those. So if you say need iodine, I wouldn't recommend iodine. I would say, where can we get this from plants? Where can we get this from food? And go that route first. And if we're still finding that there is no activity in that area, we look at a deeper level as to what's going on. I'm just not a fan of them. And I know that there are practitioners out there are courses out there that recommend these things. It's not something I agree with. So, yeah, that's just my thoughts on that. Right. Thanks, Rachel. Glad you have enjoyed it. Is there anyone who has any other questions, anything that they would like to ask me? I have to head off shortly today. So, yeah, feel free to pop your questions in the comments. I've got 5 more minutes. If you want to attend these live every week, I do recommend that you subscribe to my channel. Then that way you'll get notified by YouTube to tell you when I'm on. At the moment, it's pretty consistent on a Wednesday at 9 a.m. in New Zealand. I know that's really tricky to work out, so it's easier just to subscribe to the channel, and then you'll get notified about that. If this time doesn't work for you guys, feel free to let me know that as well, because I can adjust the time somewhat. Yeah, and yes, let me share the cool new program that's coming out. So this is literally live right now, and this is our introductory course on what endometriosis is all about, understanding how it works, what's going on, the 3 components that we look at. It's a very fun, very easy, very short introductory course, so don't feel intimidated because it's a course. It's very easy to do. It's taken us a long time to create because there's lots of components to it. And it's very fun because it's interactive, so you literally click on things and things happen. It's very cool. And then from there, you can join our Drop My Pain Challenge, which is our food adventure series, which is coming out in April. At the moment, we are doing you can connect with me if you are keen to find out how to use food to support yourself. So you can book in a discovery call with me, and I can find out where you're at in terms of your diet, in terms of what you're eating, and make sure that I consider that within the planning stages of the course. And of course, if you chat with me, then I can personalize it somewhat towards you. So yeah, if you're keen to find out more about that, I can share the link on that. So this is our Drop My Pain Challenge. The option to chat with me live won't be up for very long because I'm not going to offer that for very long. So if you want to chat with me, then I recommend doing that probably this week, because we're literally rounding up the whole way that we're doing that this week. So I have had quite a few chats with a few women already. So if you wanted to have a chat with me about your diet, how your diet influences your endo, what you've tried so far, where you want to start, where are you at? Because it just helps us to develop that program much more personalized. So yeah, feel free to book that in with me, and we can meet and we can chat about your personal situation and how diet can really support you with your endo diet, your endo journey. So yeah, any questions, anything else you guys want to ask me? No more questions? Okay, if you guys don't want to ask on the public forum, I totally get it. You can email us at support@endoempower.com. And we are super excited to be here for you, to share this information with you. If there are topics that you would like me to cover, feel free to write to us, support@endoempower.com. And we can, have a look as to whether it's a viable idea. Some of the ideas have not been so viable because we need to do stuff that is going to support a lot of women when we do these live series. So, we can't go into very detailed situations. But if there is something more broad that you'd like me to cover, then feel free to suggest that either in the comments or by email. Thank you so much for being here and for participating. We appreciate you all and look forward to helping you further in your journey. Okay, see you next week. Bye.